Hello and good morning or good night, my friends, depending on which part of the globe you are on. Captain Future here, time for my number 10 talk, and this will be a fairly long talk and rant for me. I'm up early this morning instead of up late that I usually are this time on a weekend. So I'm on my way to Almedalen, the big democracy and innovation company mingling network festival in Baltic Sea, Visby, Gotland, that is one of a kind in the world. And it's gonna be a whole week for me, Bartola, Rihan, some other awesome people, lots of awesome people there, meeting over 40,000 other people going there to attend over 4,700 events like it was last year. That is workshops, panels, lectures, mingles and everything. I've just been driving through the night here. There was a fantastic moonrise this morning. I seldom see a good moonrise, but since I had it ahead of me all the way on the road, I saw it, and now I have seen a fantastic sunrise as well. The sun is up early here. And I've been listening to the Future Thinkers conversation with John Bevicke, and also some parts of his Awakening series that releases a new episode every Friday throughout the year on our cognitive cultural awakening and meaning and everything. What is it to be human? How do we think? How does our mind works? Like communication, we use words for, and grammatic are all a mental construct that is not built in to being humans. We're not born with it, but we have evolved to make use of using language and words and grammatics to communicate and think. So we actually think in one with using words, but there are all other ways of thinking and navigating the human condition as well. And there's a lot of irony and self-awareness in their talk and everything. And there's so much there. They go into the very stuff that we live in a attention-seeking economy with internet and social media right now, and of course they themselves, both John and the Future Thinkers, with his series and their podcast, are also seeking attention. And at the same time, he says it so well that of course we can seek attention and become important and spread knowledge and wisdom, but we have to do it like I do it, with silliness, or and with great awareness. And he also says that it's always a community effort. You have to always both be aware of your audience and all your collaborators that make you come alive in the content and everything for that. And also always have reference to others, lift others up and include others. I see some people talking and they only reference themselves, not intentionally, but that's the thing we do. But the more you can give credit and reference others in your thoughts and process and knowledge and everything, the better off you can be in this process. And in this we also talk about the human condition. I don't know, I made a video last night after I've been out clubbing in a club premiere and dancing and feeling joyful. And that's a part, celebration is part of being human. That's the part we seldom talk about. And it's not just for recreation. We have to see celebration and clubbing and everything as something we can do for a deeper meaning. Enjoy music, enjoy dancing, and also take part in the ritual of doing it together with other people, and build bonds and build meaning, and seek altered state of mind and insight and revelations through processes of celebration. And there's what I'm thinking about Almedalen this year is going to be about what we call future navigation. That's part of that's several parts. Like it's what Ashoka called the network weaving, and others say. Like we live in a network society now, thanks to the internet, but also through the human networks we're building, like the personal and physical networks we're building that are amplified through internet and social media. That wasn't possible building on the scale before. And this is the network weaving, but there are also the sense making, the science, and understanding the world and ourselves in it. And in that you also go into what is called wisdom seeking. So we seek wisdom, and we make sense of the world, and we also navigate and explore it. And in that we explore ourselves. We explore the world we live in, and we have to draw new maps. This is a shift in human society, human cognition, what we could call awakening from the meaning crisis, another called also transition, and there's a lot of different words, and we should use different words on this. So in this we have to go into this with our eyes open, our ears open. We have to see, we have to listen, we have to make sense, and that's part of the navigating. Like if you think of the explorers that discovered the new world in the worlds that people already were living in, but we here in the Western world discovered it. But if you use that metaphor of being an explorer and a discoverer, that's the part of navigating we mean when we say future navigators. So we have to have we can call it future explorers as well, or going on a quest and an adventure or something like that. But we like the word navigating instead of exploring, because so many people use the verb navigate. And in that we have to lift that word. What does it really mean to navigate something? Is it like already charted waters, or is it new waters that you're actually exploring on the same time as you navigate through them? And all these things where I want to talk about in Almedalen, navigating, network weaving, wisdom seeking, sense making, society building. We have the Learning Society project, and that we do together with Catapult Learning and Trondheim and other actors. We have the evolutionary leadership thinking that I'm much part of, that Manuel and Fjodor have. Two excellent videos when they explore, they explain their models and thinking about that, and the 7 core competencies that goes hand in hand with what John Verbicki and Jordan Hall and many others, Thomas Björkman and many others are speaking with now. Thomas Björkman in the OHR is going to be in Almedalen as well, so we're going to hang out and talk about this. I did an interview with Thomas about wisdom in April when we were at the grand opening of Ekvaret Klustret next to Norrsken in Stockholm, the co-working place there. But all I did is interview with Thomas first, and I did a shorter interview with about wisdom after that, and that's what we're going to explore and see many of these questions in Almedalen as well, because it all goes hand in hand with societal building, digitalization. That is going to still be one of the hottest topics in Almedalen. How do we build? Digitalization means building better services and functions for institutions and companies and everything to make society run smoother. But what's lacking in that conversation is of course both the usability of digitalization and the wisdom that's still haven't heard so many people talk about. What is it we actually building? Why and what for? And why should we optimize and smooth services in society up for? Do we actually talk about the system, the wisdom and the system thinking and the competence that we have to weave into everything we build new systems and tools and services for. Since I myself has been now a victim of several failing Swedish institutions that should be famous for being the best in the world, but they have no clue and competence to actually understand what was going on in my case. And I'm going to meet Papa Barn, that means daddy kid or something like that in English, an organization that is on the farther sides in a society, especially here in Sweden, where we have a doubling of parents going to court to seek custody of their kids. Like, why? There's something wrong there, and it ties very, very, very much into the meaning crisis we are going through in society. This called Joshua Cooper Rammer call it the insanity challenge in his fantastic book The Seventh Sense, that when he explores what the seventh sense is, the ability to navigate a networked society. So that it's he has some very interesting points that ties together what we're doing and John's and other people's work. So I can recommend that. And awareness is something we have to talk about that goes hand in hand in waking up this process. But what is it we are aware of, and how can we constantly challenge our worldviews and our mental models and our inner and outer maps of society, and listen and see that we have a very, very small clue of what's really going on and what it really means to be human. Like, we can't perceive everything that's going on around us. Even like me driving my car, I can't see every tree and everything going around me. And I have trained myself since I was little to always look to the moon. So I always notice the moon and look at the moon when I see it. But I know people I met that never see the moon because they have not trained their perception and awareness to look for the moon. So that's a curious thing as well, and that's everything in society, training and seeing how and where we put our attention, because like you say, we can't perceive everything that's going on in the universe, and even in the small space that my physical body are traveling in right now. And the awareness about that, it's also, we can't pay attention to social things happening like in human society, what's really going on in different situations between people, relationships, value creation and value destruction, and value consumption that we do as individuals and communities in society. That's led us into a world we are now, what we can see all the different environmental and the social crisis we have in society, with like plastic in the sea, climate change, pollution, overfishing, the industrialized meat production that's like bizarre from both historical perspective and we think from future perspective. Like, this is just a blimp in history where we made very bizarre things, and it's always been like that, but now we have amplified and accelerated everything. We live in what we call the great acceleration, and in that we are at a point of human history where so much is happening so fast, and we haven't really caught up to what to awareness and awakening in this process that's lagging behind. So this is probably one of the most interesting points in history of the entire human history, because we're living on a very, very thin ice, where what we do in the coming years will define us as a species, if we make it or not. We have come so far for millions of years of becoming the humans we are today, and if we're gonna live for millions of years more, we will solve many of these awakening and awareness crises in the coming years in this century. Of course, if we don't solve them, we won't continue in the way we know society today. So this is probably one of the most interesting time in the entire human history. And of course, every person throughout history before us have said that. Well, probably not, but most. The Romans, the Renaissance, and the industrialization and the epochs and times like that. But they were not really in a process where they could end a civilization, not just like the Roman civilization, but the entire human civilization. And we are at that point now. So this is why this is so important to me. And of course, if you are like me, interested in talking more about this question, I can see some friends watching me, and most of you are probably heading to sleep if you live in North or South America, or not awake yet if you sleep in Europe. But I felt like having this rant while driving, because there's so many thoughts bubbling, and you can watch this afterwards. So more process bubbling in my mind is, of course, what I talked about before. What is the product of a human collaboration that is society? Many talking about the economy, and when most people hear the word or talk about the economy, they think about money. Money is just an abstractation that incentivizes and makes possible human activity that creates society. Society is not created by money. Society is created by the daily activities of every participant in society. And as a participant in society, you can either you are doing three things. You consume value from other people and from nature and stuff. This can be like physical value, like cutting down wood and growing potatoes, or making water run, but it can also be like in today's society, many of our social services helping other humans in their value creation. And we create value, of course, as humans, but we also destroy value. Like take time. Time is a resource we consume. That's a value consumption. We all have time to do things. So when we consume time to produce other value for using our time, but we also destroy value. Like there's many ways. Like if I cut down a tree, that's a value destroyed in nature, but I can at the same time it's also a consumption. And if I use the tree for something, not burn it up, I like make a chair or cook food and something, I also create value in this process. But there's also many destructive processes going on in society today, like I talked about before, like overfishing, climate destruction, pollution, that actually destroys value that we won't probably get back. So if you poison something beyond that will take like 1,000, 100,000 or 1,000,000 years to recover, that's a value destroyed for an ecosystem or for a place or something like that. And we can also like destroy human value. Like if I murder a person, I destroy a human life, and that's also a value destruction. Like it's an extreme, but then it gets like finer and finer detail and more and not so extreme examples if you go into every activity we do in our daily lives in society. So that's the value consumed, value created, and value destroyed in society. I think these three categories are good to have. And I haven't heard so many people talk about this before. This is something I talked to some friends about and developed myself, these three principles. So if you have any insight in this thinking about these three processes we do as a society, please talk to me more. And then we have money. Money is a way to like measure and make other people do all these free activities. So we pay people money to do these activities, and we get money for doing it ourselves. And we organize everything and measure everything in the mathematical number of money. Money is a mathematical construction that is not real. Math has some inherent. I'm not that well versed in like the philosophical meaning of math, but there's some good documentaries on math and numbers and how it's built in to the universe, but it's still constructed. And money is a mathematical construction that we use to value and measure and make societal processes of value creation, destruction, and consumption happen. But of course, if you say, if we removed all money for there was to be no money transactions for the coming months, but we all human people still would be doing the same thing that we did last month without payment, without money transaction. Society would still work, and you can't like buy. If you can only buy the stuff that you did last month, you can't overconsumption and get things for free. But you can get the things for free that you got last month, but without any money transaction. Society would still function if you have this what if mental. This is like a what if question and a mental silly play with what we're doing. So it's not the money itself that creates society, but it's been very useful, and we couldn't have had the society we have today if we hadn't had lots of people driven by both the status that come with value creation and the status that come with money itself, and that also get triggered through a lot of greed. There's been greed is not good, but greed had made many human development and processes happen much faster than it otherwise would in society. But it has also destroyed a lot of value in the process. But it's a human trait that is trainable, so we can train for it and we can also train against it, and being aware of when we not should use this driving force in ourselves. To get greed is like getting more than you need, actually. Like if I eat an apple a day and I pluck 2 apples from a tree and throw 1 away, that is not that is value destroyed or value consumed. That is not optimal, if you know what I mean. Please talk to me more about this if you're interested in all these questions. These are questions I'm prepared to have in Almedalen this year too. This is new thoughts I had during the last year. So this is things I've been thinking about a lot during the last year in my solitude, and also together with my fellow future navigators, Bertola and Carl and others, in our travels and meetings, and a lot of late night video calls around these questions. It's gonna be so awesome. I know Stellan are also heading to Almedalen, and tomorrow, Monday, he's gonna interview me and Bertola in the radio if Bertola arrives in time. I saw a troll in the Swedish forest there. Something that looked like a troll. Maybe it was a troll. Hello, everyone who's still watching here with me. Yeah. So I'll be at the ferry, taking me over to Visby in 1.5 hours. 7 o'clock. The ferry leaves by 8, and I'll be there by 10:30. It's gonna be great being there early Sunday. This year I haven't invited people for an Ikigai workshop yet, that I usually have on a Sunday afternoon for the last 3 years. I have my Ikigai model and value creation model. I don't know how many of my people in my network are actually in Almedalen. I know Stellan, you are there, but maybe it's just going to be the 2 of us. So I'll make, when I arrive by 10, something like that, I'm gonna make a quick invitation to see who's actually in Almedalen today, Sunday, and we meet up in the afternoon and make an informal in Botaniska trädgården, Hotel Breda Blick, the Botanic Garden in Visby. That's a fantastic place in itself. Visby is very beautiful, limestone, medieval Hansa town. There's still many walls and church ruins intact. It's a fantastic place in itself, and Botanic Garden is inside one of the best kept parts of the wall, where you actually can go up in the wall and the towers as well. So that's a fantastic place there. And if you're not coming to Almedalen this year, many of you who are watching this, next year is gonna be a perfect opportunity for you to come there together with us. We will make a big effort to see, even if you don't speak Swedish, there's a fairly amount of people not speaking Swedish, only speaking English, and about, I don't know, but a small percentage of the 4,000 events are in English, so you can get around all week with English. All Swedes speak perfect or good English, so there's no problem coming to Almedalen, even if it's most of the events are in Swedish. But so please make an effort to come there. Everything is free, except you have to find your own living. This year I'm tenting, but you can hire an apartment fairly cheap, Airbnb style. That's a raven. You seldom see raven here in Sweden. I saw a cool black raven. They're not that common here in Sweden, but I love it. It's the biggest crow type bird here in Sweden. So the European raven. Whew. A lot of ranting and talking. Hello Daniel, I can see you're joining me here. Daniel Stinsig. Yeah, I've been talking through my thought process of Almedalen and where I am now mentally in the meaning crisis and society building and navigation of the future, wisdom seeking. Yeah, and it's all part. I have written about both the process of Ikigai 4.0, like my very evolved model that I've been working with, that facilitates your inner and your outer journey of life, who you are, where you are going, what your value creation should be for yourself and others, and where you fit into that, and what skills and competences are you pursuing or already have that you had to hone your skills in. How do you become what Daniel Priestley called a key person of influence? How do you get known in your niche or your brands for being the awesome, talented people you are? Of course, we are all that. And also, how do you navigate and make sense of all your life history and interests and insights and your network and your ambassadors, and how do you help other people in their journey? How do you become their mentor, the trainer, ambassador? That's also something we had to talk a lot more about. And I also talked about the process of the Learning Society, lifelong learning, in my other post, what I call life as a service. A funny joke, if there's so many people now using computer metaphors for our brain, just like they did before, used the machine metaphor and the cog, the watchmaker and the cogwheel metaphor for your brain. Now we're using our computer metaphor for our brain, because the brain doesn't have a hard drive or a processing capacity and things like that, and or even a physical memory like a computer have. But still, so I wrote this article as a silly joke, where I was seeking knowledge and education and wisdom in life is a computer program when it loops back. So you constantly there's a computer line code that is 10 print hello, 20 go to 10, and it's an iterating loop that never ends. It's a short line of code that you wrote back on your Commodore 64 or Amiga 500 computer that I grew up with in the 80s. And in that I wrote a constant loop of with many subroutines that is called it in a never-ending loop of lifelong learning, and all the processes and activities like seeking wisdom, listening, dance, love, and everything that should be part of the human life. So those two texts that we explore further as well. I'm gonna rewrite one of them now, thanks to Leif. So I have the cognitive and presence to actually start working again after a year-long process with my ex and my daughters, and it didn't go well, but I'm okay, and I'm not gonna give up on either being myself, Michael, and my identity, Captain Future, as a future navigator. I'm certainly gonna pursue that much more now. I can see clearly, much more clearly than a year ago, what my role in this should be in society. So it's going to be interesting to see if we actually can get the conversation going with people here in Almedalen, how we train weavers, navigators, and wisdom seekers and sense makers, and actually start employing them, paying them money for creating the value that we need. We know that we need, like Bertola and Rehan and the people I'm talking with, they are doing this work for a couple, building networks, and they can't be the only one. We literally mean millions of people that build communities and networks all over the world to make society function again. And this is this is a combination of old roles, but since we have to make a stand, this must be a new role. So that's what I'm gonna pitch for, that we actually need to employ people navigating and weaving and wisdom seeking in society full time, interacting with all the other people doing this. And this should be both a role and a training program for everyone who wants to do it, dabble in it, or do it full time. So that's part of being Captain Future as well, making that happen. It's very sunny, morning sun staring right in my face here, so I have my sunscreen down and my sunglasses. So good to be ranting about all this stuff. This is of course many subjects I will delve deeper in, and this is also like conversations I will be live streaming for Almedalen, talking to people, asking questions about this, and of course projecting and presenting these subjects myself to all the people I meet with, having these conversations. And we all can, it's gonna take all of us, like someone said in that was a quote. I'm gonna find that and post that later. I have it saved. It's gonna take all of us. And Nora Bateson also said you have to solve every challenge you have to solve every challenge at once. So all the challenges and all the problems, a lot of people are focusing on their part, but we have to be the puzzle makers that makes the puzzle or the weaving and the navigating of solving all these challenges come together as a whole, with system thinking applied and everything, complexity thinking, like Snowden calls it, because they want to differentiate of the old system thinking. That is not the modern system thinking we mean when we say with system thinking. Of course, we mean what Snowden says, complexity thinking. We live in a complex society, and we treat this like a simple or a complicated one. That's the Cynefin framework that he works with. Yeah, it's going to be mind-blowing this year. I can feel my brain humming along. Up early today, I didn't sleep many hours, but I'm not tired during the night usually, because I'm a night person. So this works out for me, both driving, listening to a very cognitive, challenging conversation, and also having them during the night. So thanks everyone for staying with me, and if you see this, please leave a comment, contact me, talk more to me about this question. This is not something I want to do in isolation. I would love to have this conversation with hundreds and thousands of other people like you listening to this. So we do this together. We build the human endeavor together. We did make this transition from caterpillarness into butterflyness, and we don't know what butterflyness is. We don't know what the future is. So we can't. But we have to explore, iterate, prototype, navigate, weave us into this future to a never seen before society and civilization here on planet Earth, where we become the crew members and the captains of this spaceship going around the sun. The sun is up there, and the Earth is the one I'm driving to. And we also have a moon that I saw early in my moon race, if you were with me from the beginning, that spins around that's another spaceship, but it's a very barren one. There's no life on the moon, but it's still a spaceship going around our spaceship. But our spaceship is one of a kind so far in the entire universe, what we know of. There could be others, but we don't know. But the gift of Earth and this spaceship we live on is something we really has to treat as a gift. And in that gift, we don't fuck it up. We have fucked it up now, but that all ends now. We make a stance. Greta and all the movement are making their stance. Other people are making their stances. Evolutionary leaders, Catapult, Awakening, metamodernism movement. There's so many movements around the world that are making a stance now, and we weave all that together. Let's do this, people. I'm Michael Cillian, Captain Future of Spaceship Earth, signing out.